Hey everybody. So, like me, a lot of you are probably stuck at home right now, and that might get some of the creative juices flowing. And I've seen a lot of other people posting some videos, and well, I've kind of thought of doing it for some time and never really had the time, so I figured, hey, why not the present? Now I'm going to go ahead and, fumble my words a little bit to start with, but anyway, I'm going to go ahead and say that I know the quality will not be pristine here because to really do this well costs about $180, which I don't really have at the moment. So I'm going to make do and see how this goes. Now, the theme of my video is going to be video games, and I see my wife upstairs nodding at me, so I'm guessing she approves of what I'm doing. I don't really know. Now she's laughing, so I'm just going to keep going. At any rate, let's talk a little bit about the history of Mario. And as you can see, I've got my Switch streaming here. And we're going to talk a little bit about poor camera quality, apparently. Alright, here we go. So, in Japan, where Nintendo originated, it was not called the Nintendo, it was called the Famicom, short for the Family Computer. And when Super Mario Bros. Came out, it was actually a huge success and then ported over to the United States. And I'm sure as I say these facts, something is going to be obscurely wrong, and somebody can be free to correct me, but I'm just going to go with it. Now, a year later, the game Super Mario Bros. 2 was released in Japan. We know it here as the Lost Levels, and here's why. You see, Super Mario Bros. 2 in Japan was actually much different than what we got here in this country. And this is what it actually looks like. It's not a two-player game anymore. You can pick as Mario or Luigi, in which case they are distinct characters this time around. Mario is just like we remember him from Mario 1, but in Mario 2, Luigi actually has two different properties. The first being that he can jump much higher, but he also skids like crazy. So generally, it is more difficult to play as him than Mario. In addition, there's a lot of other features. You notice the graphics are identical to Mario 1, but there's also poison mushrooms. Now, this game was not ported to the United States for a number of years, because generally it's accepted that Japanese gamers enjoy harder games, and this is a much harder game. I have completed it, but it was far more difficult than Mario 1. So, when the United States was clamoring for the sequel, we did not get that version. In fact, it was not actually released until part of the Super Mario All-Stars compilation later in the early 90s for Super Nintendo. What we got instead was this, known as Super Mario 2. This was not even a Mario game in the first place. It was an Arabian tale known as Doki Doki Panic. But before it came over, they re-slapped on Mario characters. There was a father, there was, honestly I forgot, there was somebody else, and then there was a mother. They had traits identical to what we see here in this game, in that Mario is average, Luigi has high jumps, Toad is fast and strong, and the princess can float. But this is why Mario 2 is actually, in a way, the black sheep of the series, because it is so different compared to all the other Mario games. Now I'm going to play through the first level, so that we actually get to the theme of what this video is going to be about. So I've picked Toad, because I've actually played through this game a number of times, and am well aware of the fact that, well, he serves my purposes best for this. So in the original game of Arabia, those were not mushrooms, those were in fact hearts. And there you see another property that wasn't introduced to Mario until later, circa Mario 64, when you could duck in order to increase your jumping height. Of course, by then it was a different mechanic, but I digress. Now the nice thing about this first level is, if you're not familiar with it, there is in fact a secret passage that will speed up the level considerably. Of course, a beginning player wouldn't figure this out or even really know that you can jump over the level like such, but it is a nice way to speed things up. And that is the first level of the United States version of Mario 2. Now the reason I've done this is, we're going to switch games here and show you what it is I've been working on. Alright. So, this gem, Super Mario Maker 2, which has been out for some time now, a sequel to the hit game Mario Maker for Wii U, allows you to make your own Mario levels. Now, you may remember earlier I mentioned that Mario 2, at least the US version, is kind of like the black sheep of the series, because it wasn't even a Mario game in the first place. So, as I went through it, I considered the fact, why not make Mario 2 into a true Mario game? And that is actually what I have done. So, you can compare that level to what I am now going to upload. So I went through the level and designed the entire thing from the beginning. So you notice here I used item box to replace the shrubs in the ground. And as you remember here, there was an opportunity to gain a mushroom, so I've retained that. POW block retained. Of course, not everything will translate perfectly, but I like to think of it as a fun little attempt. And like before, as I apparently fail my own level, I've retained the ability to choose which path you will take. So, since in my first video I did use the shortcut, I will do so again. Now there was a limitation set here in that if you pile blocks all the way to the top of the screen, it won't actually let you go all the way across. So, I decided not to. And I did actually throw in a nice little gimmick here, in that when I use Boom Boom to replace Birdo, you do have to defeat him to finish the level like you did in the original, but there is a nice, neat way of doing so. And of course, had to throw in the famous pyramid half. Alright, so this is my first video. I may make more. It'll just kind of depend on what you guys think. So drop me a comment if you're feeling particularly bored as you work your own way through this quarantine. And have a great day, everybody, and God bless.